Alright, in this video, I want to talk about the clouds and how they show a flat earth. So, I hope you hear me out and not just go, oh, flat earther, and just start going on your trolling little rant and laughing. I mean, come on, hear me out first, and then do your little thing, alright? Anyway, this came to me on a cloudy day. The clouds were fairly large and fluffy and spaced out, and they were going off in all directions as far as the eye can see, over the horizon. And I was watching them and looking at them, and I was like, hey, this is interesting. You see, each one of these boxes was like a cloud. And I could see under the clouds as they were going down towards the horizon. And I was like, well, if they're going over a curve, they should be tilting. But they're not. They look like the lights on this hallway here. Like each one of these boxes is a light. This is how you would see it looking down a hallway. You could see underneath the light all the way as far as the eye can see it until they shrink and you just can't see anymore because they're too far away. Not because they went over a horizon or anything. It's just that they're too far away for you to see. Just like each one of these squares, eventually when they get further down, they're too small for you to actually see them. It's not that they went over a curve, it's just too far away. Your eyes are limited as on how far they can see. That's why you use something like binoculars or a telescope, and you can see further, right? I mean, it's not, rocket science here and brain surgery, right? But anyway, so I was noticing that's how the clouds are, just like lights on the ceiling. You see the ceiling here, let's say it's about 10 feet high. Right here, where we're standing, it's 10 feet. And it looks like it's shrinking, right? But right here is still 10 feet above this floor. It's our perspective. Like, go to a hallway and look down it. It looks like the floor is going up, and it looks like the sides are shrinking in, and the ceiling looks like it's coming down, and it looks like it's shrinking in. But the truth is, it's 10 feet right here where we're standing, and over there, it's 10 feet from the ground to the ceiling. The same distance. And let's say it's 10 feet from wall to wall. It's 10 feet here, and over here, even though it looks like it's closer together, that's still 10 feet. It's your perspective. It's how you see things, right? So I was sitting here, and I was like, if I'm here, right where this arrow is, and these clouds that I'm seeing, if they are going over a curve and over the horizon, this is what I should see. I should see them tilting. You see how these curve with the earth, according to this picture? But that's not what I was seeing. They were staying flat, and they were just going off into the distance, like so. It's like I was telling people about the ships when they supposedly go over the horizon, even though you could zoom in with telescope or camera or binoculars and you could see the ship again. Is everybody just like really slow? Not thinking things through. Have you ever watched a car go over a hill? You see the front end go down and you see the ass end go up because it's going over a curve. But when you watch the ship supposedly go over a curve, you just kind of watch it shrink and just kind of fade away. You don't see the ass end go up, you don't see the front end go down as if it's going over a curve. Right? Which is what we see with perspective. Everything goes and it just gets smaller, it shrinks until you just can't see it anymore. Because if something was going over a curve, you would see it tilt. Just like this, you see these clouds as they go over, they curve. And you should start to see them curve. But that's not what happens. So anyway, I was trying to find some pictures to show this. Like we see here, this is not a very good one, and I'm going to show just different ones to try to get the perspective here. But we see under the clouds here, right? And as they're going further away, you still see the sides of them. Like you would here, you see the sides and underneath them. Over here, you see underneath them and the sides. Down here, you see the sides. But if they're going over a curve, you shouldn't see the sides of them anymore. They should tilt to show you only the underneath part of them. but that's not what's going on. Here's another example, like right here, we got underneath the cloud and the side of the cloud. The shaded part is the underneath, and then off in the distance, again, we see underneath the cloud and the sides. And in the distance, what? We see underneath and the sides. And we see that all the way, and they're not curving. Like we should start to see the shadow part of them because they're curving. They're tilting. But it's not. And here's another one. We see all the way where they're not curving away. Just a few more. I couldn't find the exact kind of cloud formation that I was seeing. But we see the same thing here. It just goes straight on off into the distance, just like we see in the hallway perspective. You know, I couldn't find, like I said, exactly what I was looking for, but these are just some cool looking ones. So at least some fancy looking pictures. Oh, here's a perfect. This is the last one I want to show. Just show how this proves they're not going over a curve. You see, the clouds, are supposed to be going over a vast distance, right? And they're going over a curve, yet we see the light coming from underneath them. Yet these clouds are supposed to be curving over this horizon as they go over the distance. So in other words, those clouds should be blocking the sun, but that's not what we see. And you may be thinking, well, doesn't that prove that the sun is going down, like the earth is moving? No, because you see, it is like the perspective again. If this light is the sun, the further and further it goes away, it looks like it's going down, as we see here. Right here, it's above our head. But when it's further away, it's still the same height. It just looks like it's lower. So the angle of the light, it looks like it's coming at you straight from eye level, but it's still that far above your head. So the sun, as we see here, above our head right here, let's say, I don't know how far above our head it is, but let's just say 1,000 miles. Let's just say that just for a number. And then we go over here. It's still 1,000 miles above our head. It's just so far away that it appears to be at our eye level. Because that's how perspective works. And you can just use a hallway to show this. So I wish I had an illustration where I could show what the clouds would be like. But if we could say we have, like each one of these lights are not on at the same time. So this light's on, it turns off, this one turns on. This one turns off, this one turns on. This one turns off, this one turns on, and so on, right? You get the picture? So let's say we have a cloud right here, right? Let's say it's at this door. From this door, it looks like it lines up with about here, right? And right here, the sun looks like it's above the cloud, because that's going to be a representation of our cloud, some board right here, right? And then when the light is here, the light is still, because this, let's say the door is 6 feet tall, or because it looks closer to the ceiling. Let's say it's 8 feet tall. I know it's a tall door. But let's say it's an 8-foot door and a 10-foot wall here. The board is at 8 feet, right? Because it's going to be lined up with the top of the door coming across here. The light is 10 feet, so it's 2 feet above the cloud, our cloud that we're putting here. So the light that starts to be right here, it's almost at the same level as our door here. If I go across here, it's almost at the same level. So the cloud blocks out the sun right there, right? So let's say that these doors are open and we can see the lights further down. So the light is now down here. Our cloud that is right here now has the light coming from underneath it. When I get my dry board up, I'll be able to actually show it. And I can draw things out, and I don't have to be limited to the pictures I can find online. I just gotta wait for my camera to come in, and it should actually be coming in today, God willing. But anyway, I just wanted to show that how this can just be the same light that when it was here, it's at, like I said, let's just say 1,000 miles. Over here, it's still 1,000 miles above the ground right there. But our perspective makes it look like it is almost touching the ground, or that it is touching the ground. Because eventually, that's what it would look like. If we open those doors and the hallway went as far as our vision could see, it would look like the floor meets the ceiling and that this wall meets this wall. They would all pinch together. That's what it would look like. Until it's basically, they looks like they don't exist anymore because we can't see that far. So anyway, that's what I was seeing watching the clouds. And I'm trying to do a demonstration with my hands that I was showing my nephew, who's real into NASA and all that. And he had some cognitive dissonance going on. He was saying, "You don't know about gravity." I was like, "Well, explain gravity to me and how this has to do with the clouds." And he mentioned something about the clouds. Well, they're like vapor, so they can just disappear. I was like, "Okay, so what does this have to do with what we're seeing here?" And, he's having trouble dealing with it, and he just, mocked about it. But I think he said something, "I bet you believe birds aren't real." It was like, hey, the truth is right here. We're right here looking at it. You're denying the truth, and you're the one making fun of me. But what are you going to do, right? Thanks for watching, and take care.